بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. لله تبارك وتعالى. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Let me first encourage all of us to share this session as we've been going for a few days. So many people may not be aware that I'm back. So be kind and generous and share to let everyone know. But make the intention when you share to spread beneficial knowledge. So don't do anything without a noble intention. So as you share it, intend in your heart that you want to spread beneficial knowledge. And I would add to that needed knowledge. Today is going to be an important discussion that I'm going to have in my scattered thoughts, as well as a review of some of the important Imams that we covered in our book, The Imams of the Valley, or the Blessed Imams, or the Blessed Valley. That is more than one book. So please share. Then I discovered something that I was reminded, I keep forgetting, I don't know why. Press the like button too. I learned that on Facebook, if there is not enough likes, they take people out of your feed. So you have to keep liking, right? Which will keep the feed going so that people are aware. I didn't know that, but something I learned. So do those two things. Press your like button and share. And do it several times throughout the session, inshallah ta'ala. So the first thing I wanted to review, as we had a very successful summer camp at Darul Rahma. It was really one of the most enjoyable times I've had in years. It was like, and I'm planning next year, inshallah, if Allah facilitate, that more of you can attend. We were just at capacity, and we only could do but so much with their community and our community mix. That's a lot. But next year, inshallah, we want to try to add more, even if we can find another place that can hold all of us. Because I think it's an experience that all of us would enjoy as adults and our children, enough for everybody. Uh, Yesterday, I had a session with the youth from ages, I think, like 12 to like 18. And we were talking and reviewing first some things. And what I noticed is that they were very attentive. And they had a love for a da'wah. And they were paying attention in the general classes, which were kind of intense, but they were repeating things that were said in the class. And one of the things they were inspired was the brotherhood and the companionship that they felt at the camp. Everyone engaging and helping one another. It was very inspiring. So for next year, inshallah, I want to try to facilitate that it's uh, more of us there, inshallah. But what made me think of the review is I was asked about our 3453 code. And people were trying to memorize it and what it meant. They didn't have it, had some of it was missing. So for a quick review and to fulfill their request, share with us, all of you, what is the meaning of that 3453 code, the family code that we have? What is the meaning of it? What do they stand for? I'll let all of you engage first, and I'll fill in if there's mistakes. Allahu Akbar. You can do them one at a time if necessary. So you could do 3, then 4, then 5, then 3. You don't have to put them all at once if you can't. Okay, Fatima. MashaAllah. Okay. Okay. I see you, Sophia. They should have just asked you. MashaAllah. Yeah, I'm moving too fast. I couldn't see it. Allahu Akbar. MashaAllah. Okay. MashaAllah. So the 3453 code that we use, and you should start using it more. Some of you don't use it. When you don't use it, I don't think you family. So I want you to know that. I see a rebel when I see you don't use the 34534. I mean 3453. I see rebel. If you don't intend that, don't do it. Put it 3453. When I see you put it, I see a connection. So let me rephrase that. 3453 should be mandatory for us who are really family. We should represent our family, right? And it is also a quick means for us to give da'wah. Every time we put that 3453, there's an opening for da'wah. Every time. So that's why you'll notice every morning I come on, I go like this. It's the first thing I put on for us. Right? All the time. Right? I always open up like that. Why? Number one, I'm present with my family. Number two, I'm reminding myself and others of what we're doing. I never forget. Right? So no matter what we're talking about, I never forget what we're doing. Right? I never forget it. Even though we may be talking about social issues, we may be talking about different parts of knowledge, biographies, but we're talking about all that to actually live 3453. That's our deen. That's what we're doing. So if anyone ever wonder, what are y'all doing? That's what we're doing, 3453. And everything you see is an aspect of that. If we ever do something that goes outside of that, then you know we've deviated. So keep putting it there as a reminder so we don't deviate. So let me quickly give a little explanation of it. So 3 is taken from the hadith, the famous hadith of Sayyiduna Jibreel alayhi salam, which is found in the Sahih of Al-Bukhari and the Sahih of Muslim, from the routes of Umar ibn Khattab and Abu Huraira. The summary of that hadith is that the angel Jibreel alayhi salam came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam in the form of a man. And he asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam certain questions in front of the companions radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. And the 3 main questions he asked him, or the first 3 questions he asked him, was tell me about Islam, tell me about Iman, and tell me about Al-Ihsan. And the Prophet ﷺ's responses to those questions indicated certain Islamic sciences. So when he answered about Islam, it was an indication to the science of al-fiqh, to the rules of the religion, the practical rules. So he talked about uttering the testification of faith, performing the prayer, fasting during Ramadan, paying zakat, performing Hajj if you can find a way. All of those are rules of al-fiqh. And as I was explaining in the camp, in my afternoon class, we were covering the book Al-Risala Al-Jamia by Al-Imam Ahmad bin Zayn Al-Habashi. That whenever we talk about those practical acts of worship, we need to keep in mind 3 things. We had beautiful discussions. this weekend. I've really, really enjoyed myself. And it is the first weekend, I may deviate, scatter thoughts, so you know I scatter for a minute, that I felt we really accomplished something. A lot of times we have gatherings, and sometimes I feel like we're just talking. It's not, I mean, some people are getting some things, but basically it's just entertainment. This time I felt like, man, they got the picture. They understood. They're going to go home and do something, right? They got it. I really, really felt that. Like, very impactful. And one of the things I mentioned, we were talking about the rules of the religion. And we said, and every time we talk about one of these rules, whether it's tahara or prayer or fasting or zakat or al-hajj or business dealings, marriage, divorce, anything we're talking about, there are three main things you should remember. The shurut, the conditions, you could say preconditions, that must be met before that act can begin in a valid manner. The arkan, the integrals or the obligations that are part of the act that must be fulfilled for the act to remain valid. And al-mubtilat, the invalidators, those things you do that will nullify the act of worship. So don't just say, I pray. Consider that I haven't prayed till I know the conditions and fulfill them. I know the integrals and fulfill them. And I know the invalidators and avoid them. So we were praying, and as we were making ablution, this was in a masjid I went to after the camp. A person came next to me, and I watched him. Not I was watching him, I was making ablution next to him. And I noticed that he performed ablution in an invalid manner. So I'm sitting, I'm watching, and I'm saying, now how do I help this person? Right? Because the person I know wants to pray, so they're making ablution. But the ablution that they performed was invalid according to all four schools. And what I understood from that is that person didn't learn the rules of the religion. He learned that he has to pray. He learned that he has to make wudu, for instance. But he didn't learn the proper methodology and the rules related to it. So, with such a prayer, it is invalid. I got one better, Hamza. Instead of me explaining necessarily what he did wrong, let's all begin to study. And I thought about this even at the camp, that some days we just read what to do correctly, right? So that way we don't have to learn just what's wrong. Let's learn to do it right. Let's study, and therefore we won't make those mistakes. I think that's better. What you think? You agree? Because if I tell you what he did wrong, you only got one aspect. What about the other things? So we should have lessons constantly reminding ourselves of the correct way to do our acts of worship. Go read one book to the end, then come back and read another one to the end. And it should be a constant reading of books of al-fiqh so that we know for sure our acts are performed in a valid manner. A constant, over and over and over and over again. But to give you an example, not completely wiping or washing the entire foot, washing a part of it while leaving a part not washed. This is invalid. As an example, or to wash the hands and then forget the elbows, leave them out, partially washing, as an example. Or just wiping the bottom of one's foot gear, or wiping over foot gear that are not permissible to use as foot gear, as an example. But if we learn the conditions and we learn the integrals and we learn the invalidators, we will perform it correctly. So the three reminds us about the issue al-fiqh and the rules, right? For example, don't be a person who just performs worship and doesn't know what they're doing. They're going through motions. Know the rules of those motions you're going through, because that is a part of your prayer. Prayer, as-salah, is only considered a salah when it's in a valid manner. Other than that, if the salat is invalid, it's not the salat that is commanded of you, right? So every act of worship, it only counts as an act of worship when it's done in a valid manner, right? So it's important. So in the three, we're constantly reminded of that, right? Then the other part of the three was he asked about al-iman, which is talking about the correct belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger and what he conveyed. And this aspect indicates al-aqidah, the belief. And here's something I thought about when I was observing that person make ablution in an invalid manner. I stopped before I said something, keeping in mind that we do things in an invalid manner because we don't know, and a lot of times we're not open to learn. So you have to be careful when you correct somebody. You have to really think about it, because in our time, unfortunately, among the masses, being unlearned about the religious rules has become acceptable, and learning the rules has become something that's looked at in a blameworthy way. So you have to be careful when you try to help, because you want to help. You don't want to further someone in their mistakes. So that is even more, we talking about in acts of worship, that's more important in the areas of belief, because we live in a time where Sunnis, they have the correct belief, but they are very accommodating for false beliefs. In an effort not to be too extreme. So, because of that, invalid belief systems become normal as Islam in the environment. I see it even in my own city. If I don't fear anything in our masjid, and many other imams are the same, if I don't fear anything, I'm concerned that because of the lack of diligence and really learning, I'm not talking about surface learning, I'm talking about really learning, understanding, being able to explain, being able to articulate the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah without mistakes. That, and then establishing relationships with people of deviance who have invalid creeds. That if I'm not there, deviance would creep in as a friend. That is one of my biggest concerns. As a friend, as a family member, I see it all the time. It looks nice and comfortable because it's not out front where you got a lion in front of you. When that lion is gone and they see the perception of lambs, they're going to come have a halal dinner. And that smiley face that you saw will not be so smiling then. And I see it. I watch it. I just don't say nothing all the time, but I see it. And I do. That's why I'm so explicit. I'm very explicit because of that. And that happens in a lot of quote unquote masajid. Deviant belief creeps in because the people are not well rooted and established in understanding the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. That's why I always emphasize, always explicitly in the issues of the creed. So in the creed, as Sunnis, we are what? What is our creed? We are known in what ways? What is our methodology? We are, let's make it sure everyone understands. Now, in creed, we are Ash'ari and Maturidi. And you should say that explicitly. But not only saying we Ash'ari or Maturidi, we have to know the creed of the Ash'aris and the creed of the Maturidis. not just the name. Even more important than knowing the name is to know the creed itself and to be upon it and have a firm conviction in it. And to know and distinguish the creed of Al-Asha'ira wal-Maturidiyya huwa Ahl-Sunnati wal-Jama'ah from the invalid, deviated creeds that exist in our time. Not just from Muslims, even from non-Muslims. That the creeds, the beliefs they have that contradict the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, we have to be able to know them and to present the correct creed in relation to them and response to them. In our time, that's a huge obligation, especially with so many bad creeds going around. It's important. And it's one of the things we get a lot of flack for. Oh, they're dogmatic. No, we're not. We're Sunni. We don't do this. We're straight. Where there is a valid, acceptable difference, we accept. Where there is no valid, acceptable difference, we don't accept. And you should be able to distinguish between the two. What is valid? What is invalid? What is agreed upon? What is the difference of opinion upon? That takes learning. It is not left to our imagination to accept or reject or to know what is different. No, we have our methodology, which has reached us with an unbroken chain of top ranked scholarship. We know our religion. So we know how to distinguish. It's extremely important. So that aspect of three is important. And we cannot stress how important that is. Every time you meet and you talk, tell the person, I am Ash'ari, I am Maturidi in creed. Don't be afraid. Tell them. And the creed of the Ash'aris is the creed of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The creed of the Maturidis is the creed of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is what we believe. Explain it. Imam Al Haddad, who was a master of spirituality, a master in the Islamic science, till he reached the level of mujtahid. Yet in his book of poems, his diwan, he has in that book a command, kun ashariyan, be ashari, like that, explicit, a command, be ashari. Subhanallah. I don't know if you're talking about humbleness, if you talk about having all of the munjiyat, those praiseworthy characteristics, all that never stopped him from saying, be Ash'ari. He didn't consider it bad manners to tell the correct creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. He was straightforward. And if you go read the Book of Assistance in the section on doctrine, you will see it. One second. Let me see if I have it here. Hold on. Allahu Akbar. 1 second. Allah. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay. Here we go. So Imam Al Haddad, in the section on the doctrine, he said that you must correct your beliefs according to the way of the saved group, Al-Firqatu Najiyah. And it is known among the other groups, Islamic groups, by the name of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? And then, after explaining that, he says, if you verify the beliefs, you will know that the truth is with the group called Al-Ash'ariyah in relation or attributed to the Imam, the Sheikh Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari. And after he goes to explaining that and the way of the Ba'alawi, which is his family, he said, and the Maturidis are like the Ash'aris in all of that. That's Imam Al Haddad. He was explicit. He didn't hide it. So for us, it should be clear. It's not against Tasawwuf to be clear. It, in fact, is a part of Tasawwuf to be clear. Right? So this is an important aspect. And for me, in our time, this is me talking to you, I think this is the most important thing we can clarify for our people. I don't think there's anything more important and more urgent than explaining to us the correct belief in Islam as a people. We need that. For far too long, have we been confused about the proper belief and understanding of Islam? Something's right, something's wrong. I mean, core things. I'm not talking about things that there's difference of opinion. I'm talking about core Islamic beliefs that have reached us with an unbroken chain globally and historically. All the way back to the Prophet ﷺ, this has been a problem. And that's why we had so many groups. So we have to clarify. And I say this and we were talking about this, some imams and leaders at the camp, that don't pay attention to Sufi groupies among the common people. I said it explicitly, and I want to say it again for all of us. Don't pay no attention to Sufi groupies among the common people. Could you put that up? Sufi groupies among the common people. And I'll explain what I mean. And we had this discussion among the leaders at the camp. Thank you, fast writer, right? Why do I say that? Because there is no such thing as tasawwuf, Sufism, without knowledge of the Sharia. And in that terms, al-fiqh and aqidah. You can be a Sufi and you're ignorant of the matters of the religion. You can't be a wali of Allah and you're ignorant of the matters of the religion. That don't work, doesn't fly. Even if you attribute yourself to a tariqah, that don't fly, right? That doesn't work. Unfortunately, though, many people who attribute themselves to a tariqah, a Sufi path, they're ignorant of the rules of the religion. And they're just set tripping. I'm with the sheikh. Well, tell that sheikh to teach you. And that sheikh shouldn't allow you to be unlearned of the rules of religion and attribute yourself to him. What that does, the danger in it, is you make groups within the group of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah that separates Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And this is an error. So it becomes about your tariqah, which is not your tariqah. But that's what you call it. Because if it's your tariqah, every tariqah of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah in Tasawwuf teaches you that you have to learn the rules of the religion. The scholars of the tariqah are not ignorant people, and they're true scholars of the tariqah. So you should learn, you should know the rules. This is important. So I always tell you, don't join no Sufi tariqah until you learn the rules of the religion. Until you learn your fara'ain well in creed and in practice, don't join no Sufi tariqah. Not for us, maybe somebody else. I can't speak for other people because I don't know their cultures. I know black folk very well. Don't do that. Go join, go participate, learn, enjoy, but make sure you learn your religion first before you join anything, especially a Sufi group. That has nothing to do with Sufism. You need it, but there's a priority of learning. You're not having Sufism if you didn't learn al-fiqh, you didn't learn aqidah. You're not going to practice tasawwuf. Even if you call it that, that's not Sufism. That's misguidance in the name of Sufism. So there is a priority. And if you notice in the hadith of Jibril, that 3, it's mentioned, 1, 2, 3, it's mentioned, and that's last, because that's the last state after you accomplished other things, which is al-ihsan, which indicates tasawwuf. I know it feels good to do the spiritual stuff. I agree. But don't be deluded by a good feeling. Don't be deluded by a good feeling. We have to learn. And when we learn, we're going to find that balance. We're going to find that balance. So that's number 3. I didn't get to go to the other ones. I ran out of time. Sorry. But that's number 3. And that's the most important of the 3, 4, 5, 3. I couldn't get to the other ones. Are there any questions about what I mentioned? Because I hope I was very clear. Uh, let's not decorate the windows before we make sure our foundation of the house is sound and firm. Because if we're decorating and the foundation is not solid, the house is going to fall down with its decorations. Having the correct creed and the proper practice is your foundation. It's extremely important. So if there are questions about what I mentioned, please feel free, inshallah. What if one has a valid intention and an invalid wudu? Then your wudu is invalid. What if one has an invalid intention and a perfect wudu? Then your wudu is valid, but lacking reward because of a bad intention. Simple. So if the intention is valid and the wudu is invalid, I assume for another reason, then the wudu is invalid. If the intention is invalid, meaning you showing off, but the wudu is performed in a valid manner, the wudu is valid and you lose reward. But if it is valid, it's valid. So the valid intention is to do it for the sake of Allah, besides the rule in the act of worship. For the intention that you have for the act of worship, that's different. I'm assuming you're talking about a sincere intention for Allah, not an intention as for the prayer itself, or for the wudu itself. So when I say intention, that's what I'm thinking you're talking about. If I'm correct, that's what I'm answering. And Allah knows best. Okay, tonight we're going to have special guests from the Dar Rahma summer camp on the Black Imam Roundtable. So we'll be discussing the summer retreat and the lessons learned in it. It was awesome. Really, 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 it was nice. It flowed so smoothly. Like the lessons, the rest, it just went nice. I really, really enjoyed myself. I feel like clean, like just, was very, very nice. MashaAllah. I thank the organizers and I thank all the helpers and everyone who came. Really, I benefited greatly. SubhanAllah. And you know what it does? That camp, though, when it's nice, it's a stress reliever too. Sometimes you don't even know you're stressed, but when you feel it all come off, you're like, wow, I needed that. SubhanAllah. Okay, let me take those questions. Can you briefly go over the steps of wudu? According to the school of Shafi'i, they are six. Having the intention when the water first touches one's face, the proper intention. Washing the face, washing the hands up to and including the elbows, wiping a portion of the head, washing the feet up to and including the ankle bones, and doing it in that order. That's it. Six. That's according to the Shafi'i school. I am Shafi'i. But if you follow another school, you have to learn the rules according to that school. But that's the Shafi'i school. And I would suggest every one of us be able to do our acts of worship just like that. Bing, 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 bing. We pray every day. We should know it. We make ablution at least minimum 5 times a day, right? Because we renew our wudu usually for every prayer, right? I don't know why you don't know the rules of the prayer. Why you got to guess? You do it every day. It should go like this, right? Yes, the water should flow and you can move it. It don't have to be abundant water. Take enough that the water flows and you move it and wipe your foot to wash your foot. So the water washing is when the water is flowing, not wiping where moisture just touches the limb. The water goes over the limb. That's washing. Mm. The valid intentions for the wudu is I intend to lift the state of ritual impurity, or I intend the obligatory ablution. And for the prayer, it's a little bit more detailed. So you're going to mention the prayer and obligation, mention the prayer itself. Even if in your heart, I intend to pray the obligatory prayer of a dhuhr, for instance. That's an obligation. That's a valid intention. For the ablution, you don't have to mention the prayer. For the prayer, you have to mention the prayer if it's obligatory. When I say mention, you don't have to say it because you don't have to say intention at all. It needs to be in your heart. Yeah, I'm just looking. Can I share something in relation to this statement? Many of you, and this is our fault, I blame us. Many of you are just learning these things well because you may have been, and I know this, following a madhab without following a madhab. Just saying I'm Hanafi, but know nothing about the Hanafi school. So you just had the name, right? No practice. Don't know the rules or other madhabs. Like I want to mess with my Maliki people. There's a lot of Malikis like that, especially among us. Maliki, no Maliki. Maliki by name, don't know any Maliki rules, right? That's the way to mess with the Malikis. I'm encouraging you. Don't worry. I'm just encouraging you, right? I was messing with somebody at the camp about this. One of my Maliki brothers. I'm always messing with the Malikis because the Maliki madhab is a great madhab if you learn it. Right? Can't be just the name. I follow Imam Malik. Okay. What did Imam Malik say? What did the Malikiyah say? I don't know. Okay. That's good following. I'm going to get them so angry where they're going to come back with vengeance. And Maliki school going to be all over the place. with all the rules, all the books, all the scholars, and then we all going to become Maliki. Because they're going to do such great work and we're just going to put us out of business. May Allah uplift and spread the madhab of Imam Malik, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, correctly. Say Ameen, right? We want it. So, to answer that, the school you follow is the school that you can learn the rules and you have a teacher to help you learn the rules. That's the school you follow. And anyone you follow in that methodology among the 4 schools is valid. It's not one school over the other. You need to practice the school, which is the rules of the religion, from a qualified mujtahid scholar and teachers to explain it to you to make sure you understand it correctly. That's who you follow. I hope this point is clear. So you won't have to worry about which school to follow. Where there's a teacher who can help you learn properly all the rules of al-fiqh, that's where you learn from. So if you got a teacher that's going to teach you prayer, and he's Shafi'i, then follow him. If he can't teach you zakat, and there's a Maliki that can teach you zakat, follow him. And if there's a Hanafi can teach you the rules of marriage and no one else, follow that Hanafi scholar. Make sure you learn it correctly according to a school, whatever you do. And then if you get that teacher that can teach you a whole book of fiqh, which is preferably, follow him and follow that madhab. And then if you learn that, and there is the possibility you can sit with another teacher and learn another one after you learn one so you're not confused, go do that. It's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Okay. I think I have to say. Inshallah, we'll be putting out a class soon for al-fiqh, the basics, and inshallah, all these questions will be asked because we're not going to learn this way at all. I don't even like teaching like that. Like, what about this? What about this? Just learn a whole way of fiqh. Sit down, get a book, and learn. That's the way I like to teach. We're never getting away like that. We have to learn the whole process of tahara, not just parts, the whole thing from A to Z. That's the best way to do it. Like this, we'll never learn. So be patient. Inshallah, we will follow through. Allah. Okay. I wish the Malikis stopped playing with themselves, especially the African American ones. Man, I wish they stopped playing with themselves in this issue. It's abundant. That's why I mention it. And I would hope one of you get mad enough to start learning and teaching on a regular basis. I'm talking to my people. I know how to talk to my people. Really. This would be Sufis and no fiqh, no aqidah, all over the place. It's a mess. Fix it. It's not the school. It's us with the nonsense. Has nothing to do with the Maliki school. Everything to do with us playing games. Fix it. Stop letting down that great madhab. Fix it. Go learn and come back and teach our people. I mean it. I say it over and over because I would hope you change it. Don't just get, oh man, why are you talking about us? Because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. That's why I'm talking about you. Fix it. The Shafi'i retreat is coming up. I think I'm going to replace the Maliki retreat with the Shafi retreat because the Maliki is not reviewing. No, I'm just having fun. Pay me attention, but don't pay me attention. I'm just having fun, but I'm serious. So it's a combination. You know, they say there's truth in jokes. I'm joking, but it's truth in the jokes. Okay, I'm almost done. I think I got everybody's question. Then you need to follow the Shafi'i school because if that's the only access you have, then that's what you follow. And if you get access later and you want to learn another school, go do it. It's fine. We're not a gang. We just want you to learn your religion properly. All right, I'm almost done. I think I got everybody. All right. No, the Hadith class, we're still uh, working on when we're going to start. It's going to be on a Friday. We just didn't, what day we're going to start. I just got to fix my schedule. What was your question, Fahima? I didn't see your question. Do you know any Maliki teachers in Brooklyn or any parts of New York? Uh, I don't know. I'm not saying they are. Are they teaching Maliki fiqh? Don't listen to a person who just says I'm Shafi'i or I'm Maliki or I'm Hanafi. Are they teaching a curriculum in fiqh from A to Z, book after book after book, the proper way? That's your question, right? Because you get a bunch of people say I'm Maliki and they ain't teaching nothing. They're just Maliki, whatever that means. No, it's a curriculum, right? Like you want it like this, for instance. So say in the Maliki school, you want someone that's going to teach you, say Al Akhdari, you said you learn, but they're going to make sure you learn it well. And say then they're going to move to Ibn Ashir. Then they're going to move to another book, say Al Risala. Then they're going to move to another book, like for instance, Aqrabul Masalik. Then they're going to move to another book, say Al Khalil. I'm just giving you an example. And there may be different books by teachers, but there's a curriculum that we're moving through. Get a Maliki person like that. I don't know one there. I'm not saying he doesn't exist, but I'm telling you what you need. And don't be stuck. If it's not available, go follow a Shafi like that. Until that, you find that one. Don't get stuck on a madhab based on your desires. You need to learn the rules of the religion. That's for all of us, right? I originally started out as a Hanafi, right? I started out as a Hanafi, but all I learned as a Hanafi was some basic rules of ablution and prayer, and that was it. So when I got to learn with Shafi teachers, I learned the whole book, and then another book, and then another book. That's how you learn, right? I mean, I would have stayed Hanafi. In fact, when I went to my teacher, who was Hanafi scholar, after being Shafi, and I was asking about learning that, he said, "You know the Shafi school well. Why would you do that?" He said, "In fact, I'll make a deal. I'll read Shafi with you, and you read Hanafi with me." And that's what we did together. So I learned more of the Hanafi school, and he learned more of the Shafi'i school. We learned together. And he was my teacher, but he was Hanafi. And we were reading in Shafi'i fiqh and and doing that. So it can happen. It's not which method. So, like, let me dispel something. People think because we African American, us, somebody told us that Maliki madhab is the madhab of us because we African American. No, you can follow any madhab. In Africa, there are people who are Shafi'i. There are people who are Maliki, right? There are people who are even Hanafi. So if you say in West Africa, most of them were Maliki, okay, that may be true. East Africa, most of them were Shafi'i. And most of us don't know where we came from. But a madhab ain't got nothing, has nothing to do with your culture. A madhab is the rules of the religion. Imam Malik was not African. Neither was Imam Shafi'i, neither was Abu Hanifa, and neither was Imam Ahmed. So just to dispel that. And some of us, by keep doing that, gonna make up our own madhab. Some of us want to just be called Muslim and no madhab. And some of us, by doing that, gonna make up our own madhab that's gonna be invalid. All right, I'm just having fun. Don't worry. That's my nature. So listen, we'll see you tonight. Uh, so that 3 applies for all madhabs. Ash'ari, Maturidi, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, and the ways of Tasawwuf. The 3 and 3, 4, 5, 3 is for all of it. Let's do it right, right? And are there any black mujtahids? There were. I don't know about now. I don't even know if there's mujtahids existing now. There may be, but there were, of course. But most of those mujtahidun, whether they were black or Arab, after the establishment of the 4 schools, even the mujtahids who were mujtahids still follow the school. But following in madhab has nothing to do with skin color. Following in madhab has everything to do with deducing legal rulings from the primary sources in a valid manner. Y'all follow? That's a madhab. That's what's following the madhab. Has nothing to do with your color. So if we on black time, don't put black time with a madhab. It has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it. And trust me, if you don't realize that, you're going to go back to Africa and become a Maliki Wahhabi. Seriously. Listen to what I said. If you don't realize that, you're going to go to Africa and become a Maliki Wahhabi. So be careful. Because you think black assumes that they're following the madhab correctly. No. Many of them have drunk the Wahhabi Kool-Aid. But they're Maliki in fiqh. And they even write in Maliki books like that with Wahhabi inputs, traditional Maliki books. We have them to show you. I remember one was given to me. I was reading, I said, man, this is a Wahhabi book. What is this? It was a traditional Maliki text with Wahhabi footnotes and commentary. So be careful. Be careful. Okay, good. So for all of us, let's get that right. Just, you know what I mean? Are we good? Are we clear? So the three is important. You see how much is in the three? Just the three. We should have that correct. There's a lot in the three. It's a whole lot. And then 4, 5, 3, we didn't talk about that yet. But the three itself is a lot to unpack. All right, we'll see. But listen, as I told one person, for all of us, let's stop guessing. Let's stop microwaving our Islam. Let's all sit, find us a teacher that we trust, open up a accepted, well-known book within the madhab at the beginning level. Let's sit down, let's learn. Move from that book to the next book with a teacher. Let's make that the habit. Not how you do this, let's do that. It's going to be a mess. Start properly. Sit down. Let us all humble ourselves in front of a teacher with a book and let him explain. Then when we finish, let's move to the next book that's going to add more details, and then the next book till we understand our acts of worship. And then we don't have a bunch of questions for stuff we should know by heart. Is this point clear for me? For everyone? This is serious. We have to take this stuff serious. And right, Imam Naim has offered it. I saw it, to go over the basics of Maliki fiqh and to take you step by step. We are at the basics. Then all of us who want to be Maliki should be in that class. If you want to be Maliki, he's offered to teach and to help, and he does it. Why are you not in the class? And especially if you're looking for a black Maliki fiqh teacher. He's black, last time I checked. I was with him yesterday. He looked black to me. He's real black. And he offered. I heard him. So Sister Samira is right there. You sisters can give Samira a message and say, I want Maliki fiqh. What's the progress with it? What's happening? Right? And Samira was pressing me yesterday or Saturday. When was you pressing me, Samira, about your Maliki fiqh classes that you trying to formulate? That was Saturday, I think. So I know they're getting ready. She put the press game on me about it. So I know they're ready. No, seriously, we should learn from our own. That's the most, you know what bothers me? And I'm in scattered thought, so I can do this. You sitting right in front of people who've been teaching you for years and then ask me, where can I find a teacher? You're sitting in front of a teacher who's been teaching you for years, more than one, and then you ask, where can I find a teacher? That doesn't make sense. It's right in front of you. So he's doing it. The Shafi fiqh classes will be coming, inshallah. Soon, very soon. Uh, oh, yeah, I got you in Brooklyn. That's what I said, but I don't know. I wasn't talking to you, Mariam. I'm talking about in general. May Allah reward you all. All right, we'll see you tonight. And please, let me say this before we end. Never intend to offend anyone. So even when I say something straightforward, I'm trying to help you, right? I'm not trying to offend you. Y'all follow what I mean? Because I know us. See, this what we know each other. And when we deal with each other, we know each other. We know. We know when we lacking. So we just got to be honest with each other. Come on, man. Step it up. We can't afford to be lacking. We have to get our stuff together. It's too much at stake for us to be lacking and lagging behind. So I'm just reminding us, right? So don't take it personal. It's never personal. But if it is personal, take it personal and change it. Right. Yeah, Muawiyah, stop sharing links and teach your people. Stop sharing links and teach your people. Black man. Right. Don't worry, I don't have to do it. Here, Mr. Charlie, you do it. All right, let me stop. I'm just having fun. May Allah reward you, inshallah. We'll see you tonight. Barakallahu bikum. May Allah reward you all. Assalamu alaikum. I'll see y'all tonight.